The film begins with an ant island with a large ant colony. Here we see that she is an old ant who has 2 daughters. One is Princess Ada and the other is Dot. Dot is very young and wants to learn to fly. A big responsibility is coming on Ada as she is the next queen to be. Here all the ants were hoarding food, collecting food for all the locusts, because they rule over them and they have to collect food for them. Here we are introduced to an ant named Flick, who loves to undergo various experiments, but their experiments are not quite fruitful for others. They are also very harmful. This time Flick made a device in which large quantities of food could be stored. Simultaneously he builds a telescope which he presents to Ada. She considers it useless and instructs Flick to go out. Also, she comes to Flick and tells him that she has high expectations from his instruments. One day it will be fruitful for us. Later, an alarm starts sounding indicating the arrival of the locusts. All the ants run towards their home in fear. Everyone leaves but Flick is left behind because of his heavy instrument. He goes with his machine so that he can keep his food with the hoarders. But a stone fell because of his machine, and all his food got washed away in the water. Here we see these ants make a deal with the locusts that they collect heavy food twice a year. In return, the grasshoppers protected them from big insects. All the ants were waiting in the colony that the locusts go away with their food. But when the locusts do not get food, they enter the colony in anger. Later, they warn that they will ruin their colony if they don't collect the food. No, they will protect you. Now in return, you have to deposit food twice. Now the old queen appears and declares that they cannot, as it is going to rain and they have not stored food for themselves. Now the grasshopper warns him that he will come again at the end of the cause when the last leaf falls. Until then, if you can collect the double meal, they will void the treaty and leave after that. They blame Flick for all this, because of which all the food gets wasted. For punishment, Flick is called in and has an idea that they can deal with bugs if they protect against locusts. For this they have to go out of the colony. It means suicide because there are too many birds and animals outside the door that can eat the ants. No one here is ready for this. Later, Flick announces that he will go himself and take out the bugs to safety. The rest of the ants find it a good idea to get rid of the Flick. Either he will bug out or not, but he will go and it will be better. Later, Flick packs up his belongings and goes to see Dot, and his friends join. Dot hoped that he would be successful in his mission. Now we see Bug City, which is built under Trailer City. There are different types of bugs here. Some bugs have arranged a circus that hasn't been working for a long time. Because of this, the owner of the circus fires him. When he reaches back, he gets thrilled to see this world, that it is a different world. Later, he pleads for help from the big insects, but no one bothers him or listens to him. On the other hand, the insects who have finished their jobs are sitting in despair, because they lost their jobs and don't know how to do each other's jobs. Some insects immersed in thoughts come to tease him. Meanwhile, they start beating. This is another reason, but Flick considers them to be combat bugs that can protect them. Flip goes to them and pleads for help. The other bugs consider without listening to him, thinking he might offer them the job, agreeing with him. They are going towards the colony where all the ants are busy collecting food. They have to collect twice the amount of food for the locusts. Here Dot notices with the help of a telescope that there are bugs in the Flick from afar. He can't believe he is back. As soon as they land, the rest of the ants secretly begin to notice whatever is happening. They consider them to be dangerous giant bugs, but Flick introduces them to the bug. All the ants are happy to see the insects they saved from the locusts. Ada gets impressed by the Flick as to how he has brought such a big bunk with him. They arrange a party in the night, in which little ants show them how these insects have to fight with the locusts. Insects are likely to die. Here all the insects get worried that this is not a job but a fight. Everyone here is impressed by the Flick and thanks him because he has eased their hardship. Here's the blow. Thanks. Bug whispers in his ears that they are not fighter bugs but circus bugs. He gets worried hearing this flicker. He takes them separately, claiming a secret meeting. He tries to convince them, but they do not agree and says that they are not in for the fight they are going for. Flick sticks with one of them while they are leaving. Dot notices them and starts chasing the Twinkle, swinging with a large flower. When the bugs see that the Flick is sticking to them, they bend down to get rid of the Flick. Here Flick sees a sparrow's nest. He runs away fearing that there is a bird that will eat them. The bird comes and runs after them to eat them. Here the Dot is also flying in the air with a flower. Now the bird comes near to eat it. The Dot bird is about to fall with panic and is about to fall down. From a distant island, the ants notice him, but cannot help him. Before the insects fall down, one of these insects comes and catches it. Later, the bird starts chasing them, and they both hide in a crevice of the earth. The ladybug perfectly penetrates the crack during landing. The bird tries to eat them. Flick has an idea. He tries to grab the bird's attention by raising a caterpillar. When the bird notices, leaves and starts chasing them. Later, Flick tries to take them out with the help of giant worms and takes out Ladybug and Dot. They hide in the bushes nearby where birds cannot enter because of the throne. In the same way, they all survive, and here all are in front of the ants. The ants give medicine to Bindi. Later, Ada tells Flick that she is also a queen, and later they have to get rid of the locusts. Here Flick realizes that grasshoppers are as afraid of birds as they are to him. He suggests a bug to make an artificial bird and hide it in a nearby plant. Flick suggests to Ada later, all the ants agree. In the next scene, we see how they together form an artificial bird. In the end, it sounds like a real bird that they hide in a hole in the tree so that they can use when in need. Next, we see the locust colony where they have started dealing with mosquitoes. Here the leader of the grasshopper's brother is shown, who is an idiot. His friend suggests to him that they already have so much stored food that they don't need to go to the ant colony. He agrees and says that he will talk to the leader. Later he goes to his brother and asks that they don't need to go to the leader. The leader becomes furious and says that there is a strength in the unity of the ants. If we stop scaring them, then they will neither fear nor work for them in future. And he doesn't want to, so we have to keep intimidating him and getting him to work. Later, they leave for the ant colony. On the other hand, we see how the ants are celebrating with joy. They're happy enough that finally, they'll get rid of them. From Flick states to giant birds if they might be if they want to go because all the work is done. Later, the giant worms refuse to leave and decide to stay with the ants. Here they see a sound in the distance, they see a light, and they feel that the grasshoppers are coming. All the ants get ready to fight, that if the locusts come, they will have to fight. But it is not grasshoppers but circus bugs whose owner wants to take them back to the circus. When they learn that they are not fighter bugs but circus bugs, they panic. That they've made the mistake of believing the Flick can't save us from the grasshoppers, they only work in a circus. Along with the queen, all the ants get annoyed with how they have believed the Flick, and how on their own trust they were going to fight with the locusts. Ada then tells Flick to go and never come back. Later, the queen orders everyone to collect as much food as possible as the locusts will kill us like that. The last holiday also falls, and they learn that the locusts are about to arrive. When the locusts come, they do not see the food and the leaders get angry. Later, they start taking possession of some ants. Here ants hide their little ants in their club. Here Dot overhears the leader saying that he will kill Ronnie after eating the food. Dot gets confused hearing this and pleads for help. He falls in with the locusts and he starts chasing. Running away from the locusts, she tries to fly, but cannot because of weak wings. He reaches for a stone, there was a tunnel under it. Later the grasshopper comes and drags her towards a tunnel and she falls down. The grasshopper believes him to be dead. After he leaves, Dot starts flying. She reaches towards Flick and tells him everything. Later, Flick blames him for it all, causing the ants to suffer. He gets depressed and doesn't believe he can help. Afterwards, all the insects suggest Flick to help out the ants. Flick agrees, knowing that the owner of the circus will not let him go. A spider worm captures him. They take the owner's bus, and when they reach there they see how they have tied up Anna and Ronnie separately, and he makes a plan and tells the other bugs to lead the van to the leader and organize a circus to entertain them so that they can divert their attention. This is what happens. During the circus he frees Ada and Ronnie. On the other hand, the blow reaches the side of the bird along with other ants. Ronnie and Ada notice that Flick approaches the bird. Later, he released the bird so that he could scare them all. The leader becomes furious when he learns that Ada and Ronnie are missing. When they see the birds, there is chaos everywhere. All ants pretend it's a real bird, they act like they are scared. One of the grasshoppers ignites the bird and revels in mystery because it was not real. When the Flick comes out, the leader is furious at how he tried to fool them. He shoots the Flick and thinks I will kill him to set an example in front of everyone. That if anyone teases them then he will have to take a lesson. Flick wakes up and tells us that we ants are one. If we all come together then you will not rule us. When the leader looks around, he sees many ants. He came a little nervous. After a while it starts raining and the ants start running. Taking advantage of this, the leader goes away with the Flick. The bugs start running to escape the Flick, but there are too many brushes on the way. Suddenly, Ada comes and saves Flick. They go downstairs. Flick has another idea, asking Ada to take him to the same bird's nest. Ada leaves him, and a grasshopper appears and a bird arrives, but he is not bothered because he believes it to be an artificial bird. This bird catches the grasshopper and feeds its young. It's a sunny day, Ada becomes queen, and Ada and Flick become a couple. With his experiments, Flick helps other ants and their colony recover. The worms leave and the leader of the grasshopper's brother also joins them. Here the film ends.